This is Joe KF7MIX, and this is another small video for Message Authenticator. This video is to talk just about a little bit about the keys that are used. I had some things on my mind. I want to make sure everyone knew about them. I'm working with version 09 here, but it's the same from version 7.7 forward as far as this video is concerned. But let's look at the source code real quick. This function here in the application, I've added some print statements to print a few things. But just real quickly, just so you know, of course it's open source, so you can look at this anytime you want. But when you give your message and your key, those two things are combined and run through a SHA 256 function. Okay, and you can use UTF-8 characters. The output of that is run again through the function and turned into an integer that is then converted to base 36 and run through a checksum to give you the 3-character checksum. All right, that's the overview of what's happening. You're running through two fairly secure hash functions to get the 3-character output. Those hash functions obviously produce a much longer output, so you do have a pigeonhole problem there, but and that's something to take into consideration. But we're not dealing with encryption. We're just dealing with authentication, with integrity of the message, and so long story short, it doesn't matter too much for what we're doing, but this is how it works. Now what I wanted to mention though, and let me just pull up the program. Well, that was useful. Let me pull up the application real quick. I wanted to just mention a few things that you should know about the key since you're going to be creating keys. First of all, if you read the README and if you use the tools to generate keys, you'll note that you've been instructed to use keys that use A through Z, 0 through 9, and that are at least 25 characters in length, like these. This will also generate ones that are a little bit longer and that start with numbers to make them a little bit easier to use for certain applications, and that is all good and fine. Now, that's what you've been told to do, but what you're able to do, if you probably guessed by looking at the source code, is you're able to use UTF-8 characters. So let me just open this up and show you what that really means. This is a normal sort of key, normal as in what the README asks for, but you could use anything. Here's a Bible verse, Luke 12:2, "For there's nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known." That is a valid key. It does have some spaces, upper and lowercase letters, colon, some semicolon, comma, and period. It doesn't matter. Those are all UTF-8 characters. That's not a good key because it's if you started using Bible verses, there's only around 30,000 Bible verses, and that would be easy to crack. Of course, if you counted the different versions of the Bible, maybe it'd be a little bit harder. But in any case, I'm not saying you should use a key like that, but that is in fact a valid key. Here's another valid key. You see, I've prepended what is the README file standard key, and I've prepended it with the words John Doe with a name, colon, and a space. That's still a valid key. This whole line right here is a valid key. That's because all the characters are allowed, and it's ambivalent. The program and the computer, they don't care about spaces or names. All they see are characters, whether they're valid or not. So that's a valid key. Is it a good key? It's fine because it still has the 25 characters. Maybe John Doe is a little more guessable, but you would still have to produce, if you were going to crack this, you'd still have to produce the entire key, so it'd still take the same amount of work. And in saying all this, I'm not pretending to be an expert on cryptography or any of these things or math. This is just from what I've studied, from what I've researched, and from what I understand. So take it with a grain of salt. If you know more than me, please let me know so that I can correct myself. And if you have other opinions, you definitely feel free to share them with me. My information's on QRZ. Now let's look at this last line. First of all, if I turn off word wrap, you'll see that each of these keys that I'm using are on a single line. I just turned on word wrap so you could see that this is actually a very long key. It's more than 550 characters, I believe. But these are all UTF-8 characters. It looks like a whole lot of garbage, and it was just randomly generated characters. There's over 1 million possible UTF-8 characters out there. So technically, if someone wants to crack a key, since they don't know whether you're going to be using UTF-8 regular characters, what you're going to be using, they would need to write something that would use the whole character set if they're going to brute force it. So that's actually a little bit better for us. But I do want to talk about that. So let me just show you also that that does in fact work. Those keys are loaded in my configuration file. So let's run this Bible verse through here. And that does in fact work. And I've got it actually outputting each step because of this modified source code. So you can see that what's happening is it's combining. That plus sign is just for this output. It's combining all the information that needs to be signed with the key. It's producing the hash. It's producing the integer from the hash, reducing it down to 36 bits, and taking the last 3 characters to give us our CRC. Okay, so you change any part of that and that all changes down the road. That's been covered in other videos, but that's how the function works, how it gets from there to there. And that's how it works with that key. Likewise with this big, long, scary key that's made of a bunch of gibberish characters, I could sign it, get a different CRC, and you can see here on the command line it's printing out all that garbage. So let me just explain why. Well, 2 things. First of all, I'm not going to promote using very long keys because I'm not sure that that would increase security in any way. There's going to be a kind of a maximum key length that will be useful. It's probably longer than 25, but it's maybe not longer than a few thousand characters. But basically there comes a point when it's not useful, doubly so for what our application, because we do have that pigeonhole math problem where our key is being reduced down to this 3-character CRC. So I'm not going to get into it, but long story short, I'm not promoting longer keys. If you want to use them, go ahead. I don't think it's going to hurt anything for what we're doing here. My personal opinion is that the 25-character with 36 possibilities is sufficient. That's 36 to the 25. If you want to take and add UTF-8 and do a longer key and have a much larger set to deal with, even if you added just a few UTF-8 characters in there, and they don't have to be this gibberish, they can be anything that's useful. But let me explain why I'm not promoting the UTF-8, and that's simply because I understand, I know there will be people whose editors and whose computers are not set up to deal well with UTF-8, or maybe that's just because I've been using computers for a long time, and I remember when UTF-8 was new. But you know, rather than deal with problems of people not able to edit their text files, not able to save them properly, not able to load properly in the software, I'm just promoting using characters that you can type on your keyboard. If you've got a foreign keyboard layout, all the better. You could use those as well. But that's the reason I'm not promoting UTF-8. It will work with it. You can use it if you want. There are websites to generate this sort of UTF-8 garbage. Just make sure that it's all on one line. That may cause you some problems with multi-byte UTF-8 characters that do odd things in text editors. Those are your problems. If you choose to use UTF-8, I'm going to say that's on you. So good luck with that. And I'm not saying it can't work. It can, as you've seen here. But the other thing is, feel absolutely free to do things like this, to label your keys, put a label at the front of your key. It's not going to hurt things. Feel free to do that if it makes it easier for you to use the software. Let me just show what I mean by that real quick again. So if you have a whole bunch of keys, if you have a whole bunch of people and you want to put their name in front like this, and that makes it easier for you to use the software, feel free to do that. It's no downside in doing that. So that's it for this video. Just wanted to cover a few small things about keys so it was clear for everyone. If you have any questions, you can download the software at kf7mix.com, kf7mix.com, or contact me. My information's on QRZ 73.